Hey folks, Jonathan here. Okay, gonna do a first start on this big block 454 Chevrolet. Traded for this engine, and the guy didn't want a lot of money for it, but it actually came out of a 1-ton truck. But it was supposed to have been put in as a crate motor or a new engine, and date code on this thing comes back as a 74. It is a 454. It is factory 235 horsepower, which is not much, but the torque numbers, you know, on a big block's pretty good anyway. But so far I bought a gear reduction starter for it because it was missing, and I did stick the bolts in. Just wanted to make sure everything's gonna work out on that before I took the time to do everything else I need to do to try to do a first start on this thing. So one thing I've got to do, because they had this in like an 84 1-ton, they had an oil cooler on it. So the oil cooler lines are lying here and they cut them. But I'm going to take the adapter off and put just a regular adapter on and put the oil filter directly to the engine. I've got to put a carburetor on. Now the carburetor I've got an Edelbrock, but it's a marine carburetor. They've got an adapter on it, and we're going to put the marine carburetor on it, at least temporarily. Now the difference between a marine carburetor and a regular carburetor is there's no ported vacuum for your vacuum advance. And I have drilled the throttle plates on them, and see, the problem with an Edelbrock is the throttle plate's made to the body of the carburetor, so you can't swap it like you can on a, you know, Quadjet and change your metered to non-metered vacuum, or metered or non-metered to metered. And so that means we'll put it on there and we just won't have any advance, but I mean we'll still be able to know whether it's running good or not. And I think it's supposed to be, I know it looks bad, it actually is nice and clean underneath and everything. It was painted black, but if you actually pick the valve cover up, you can see that it looks just about like brand new, and if I don't drop more stuff in it. And the crazy thing, get the crap out I put in there, this thing's got oil deflectors on it, which I'd never seen before. It's a new thing on me anyway, but clean as can be, and like I said, just looks like brand new inside. So I think it's going to run good. It was supposed to be new, so you know, sometimes you get the truth and sometimes you don't. But anyway, so we'll get the valve cover bolted back on, we'll get it picked up, get the oil filter and stuff changed, and then get it in time. And I guess distributors, I'm hopefully going to be on in time. It's got a good HEI there, so all we need is one wire to that, and we'll get this thing set up, and maybe we'll see if it'll start. And then I'm not sure what we're going to put it in yet, but we'll see. All right. Okay folks, here's what we got so far. Got sitting on a couple blocks here and sitting on the headers. We'll just let it sit on them. It's not going to hurt them. They're not in very good shape. Took the oil cooler off, put an adapter on it, and then screwed the oil filter back on. Oil's clean, don't look bad at all. So we're and I didn't see that I had an extra filter, so we're just going to run that filter back on it. Let me see. The only thing I seen didn't like, they had an engine plate on here. I actually had it bolted to the aluminum adapter, which scares the crap out of me, because they were picking it up with the 400 turbo behind it. But anyway, it bent it, but it didn't. It bent the plate, but it didn't hurt the adapter. I can't believe that adapter held up to that. But anyway, I didn't like the little bit of a rust in the intake there. But I mean, it is what it is, and he says it's not stuck, and I hadn't even tried to turn it. And as you can see, the rust in the pulleys, even though it's a new engine, it's been sitting for a long time unstarted. So I'm going to get the carburetor and sit on it first, and then I'm going to blow off all that crap because I don't want to get it in there. And we'll get the distributor cap back on and get it wired in. And I got to get the valve cover bolts back on the other side, and then make sure, of course, get some positive negative lead, make sure it rolls over. So we'll keep at it. All right folks, here's our carburetor. This is a I think this is a 750. I'll have to look at the numbers, but you notice there's no choke plate. I may have borrowed that out for another carburetor. So as you can see, there's no vacuum ports on this thing. They're not drilled, so we have no constant vacuum and no metered vacuum. And this carburetor has been sitting a while, and it had mud daubers. This is what we have a problem with here in the fuel inlet, and then if you look, it goes right back into the carburetor. So we're going to pull this top and get everything cleaned out before we go to trying to put it on there. And I'll check the numbers on it here real quick and see what it actually is, because I can't honestly remember. Alright folks, I just got to make a run and get some gas. Got the return on the fuel pump blocked off. Got a line run on it to put in a tank. Got a hose hooked up. Got our Edelbrock on. Plug wires look terrible, but we'll see. I did crank it over. It does crank over. Flywheel looks a little warpedy, but that's probably about normal when they're not on a bolted torque converter. But this one had all 6 bolts bolted up, so that tells me that was, well, I knew it was a 400 turbo, but it was a, a lot of the torque converters will have 6 bolts instead of 3, so on the heavy duty applications. So I had to put the shims in the starter. There's 2 shims to shim it down, and it was too close. And that might have been why the flywheel's got a warp, because when I tried it, it came out and hit it, and then it didn't go back in, so that might have done it, but that's okay. Probably put a new one on it either way. So let me go get some gas and we'll just see if this will start. Alright folks, I think we're ready. Like I said, besides the plug wires being crappy, well, I got to hook up power to the distributor on these. As you see on the HEI, it just says tacking battery. If you just put power to the battery, it'll run. That's all you need to do. Carburetor is a 750, and like I said, it has no metered vacuum or even unmetered vacuum, so the PVC valve would need to be hooked up. We could hook it up to the manifold. I can drill that if I needed to, and just drill it in above the throttle plate, and that'll give you a metered vacuum, tiny drill bit. And well, as you can see, that plug wire is shot. That plug wire's been chewed on by something. So maybe it'll run, maybe it won't. Now I just stuck the gas down in there, and I haven't tried to put any up to the carburetor, and there's none in the carburetor. Oh, I hadn't tightened the carburetor yet. Yeah, I still need to tighten the carburetor up. So let me tighten that up, and we'll get to cranking on it. All right. I was hoping I'd get some gas up by now, but it's not really putting none up. But I see. Let's get some fire on it. All right. Alright folks, fuel pump ain't pumping. I'm going to get a gravity tank here set up somehow. It's firing up, but we're not running long. Alright, let's see what we can do. Alright, let's give her another try. Gravity tank. There you go. Good runner. There you go. All right. So, a couple ways for people if you're wondering about 454. And most people know this, but I guess some of the younger folks might not know it. But to tell whether this is usually a tall or short block, which with a tall block would be a 4-ring piston, 427, 454, 366. They're never going to have high performance passenger on the block. So if you look down in there, there you go, high performance passenger. And so the tall blocks won't say that. Plus you can just take the casting number and check them. And this could be a 2 or a 4-bolt main. I'd guess it's probably a 4-bolt main because it's probably a truck motor, but usually well, I'm going to rephrase that. That's probably not, because the last 3 is CXU, and usually the truck engine starts with a T. So the last 3 is the suffix code, and that CXU tells you that it come out of a 74 and what it come out of, and usually if it's 2 or 4 barrel, like on a small block, most all big blocks, well, except the tall deck, some of them are 2 barrel, but the it would actually tell you whether it was a 4-speed or an automatic engine, and you know, Corvette or whatever, but and of course horsepower. Like I said, it's 235, so it's not much horsepower. But that suffix code on the front of the engine, that's the VIN number on the right side up here, and then here's the suffix code, and your last 3 digits, the CXU, is the numbers that you need, and that'll tell you pretty much anything and everything about an engine. Early numbers was just 2 digits or letters. I'm sitting here telling you numbers, but letters. And if it starts with a C, it's usually a car engine. Starts with a T, it's a truck engine. And then the early engines, you know, the two letter, you know, you really couldn't tell nothing by that either way. So anyway, there you go. It runs good. It's a good engine. I figured it would be, and don't know what we're going to put it in yet, but we'll see. And anyway, all right. Appreciate everybody watching. Till next time. Bye.